What was your humble beginning like?
I wasn't born with a silver spoon. There were days I will go to farm, I hawk soap, I hawk ice water. I've done washing of cars for people. But one thing I must recollect is that though we didn't have much, but they had much. What was their much? They had faith in God.
So what was the transition from your secondary to your university?
I believe strongly that every child can be brilliant. It may take you 2 hours to grasp a subject.
And take the
It
next
might
person
another 10 hours. All you need to do is to know how many hours you need to catch it.
What do you have to say to these younger ones who are listening to you, telling this story, and maybe going through one thing or the other, and the whole societal issue, so they don't fall into this area? So we begin to take these youths out of this, mentality of get rich quick.
People feel that because of their low background, they will amount to nothing, that they saw that background as hindrance to making progress in life. And I say to such people, your background does not have to necessarily put your back on the ground. You may have the lowest background, but you can have the highest success in life.
Rev Dr Isreal, first I want to thank you so much for making our time to talk to us. I know you have your busy schedule, but you prioritize having this time just to talk to us so younger ones can get inspiration from your life story. On behalf of my team and the Chronicles of a Professional, we want to appreciate you. We thank you so much for doing this for us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. I would like to start by letting you introduce yourself to my viewers. I know you are a household name, but there may be, some of my subscribers or viewers that would like to really know who you are.
Yeah, my name is Rev Dr Isreal Kristilere. I'm the lead pastor of Shepherd Baptist Church, the Sanctuary of Grace and Glory, Obanikoro, Lagos, Nigeria. I'm also the CEO of Oasis of Faith Intercontinental Limited. That is a private pilgrimage company in Nigeria. And also the president of Christian Tourism Practitioner Association of Nigeria. This is the Association of Private Christian Pilgrimage Operators in Nigeria. These are people who take people to Israel as private groups.
Okay.
Not really as government groups.
Oh, okay.
And I've been privileged to serve in many other capacities. I'm privileged to be a member of some boards of some NGO, some organizations, as God give me grace over the years.
Interesting. You have a lot to your name. If I start reading them out, I think it will form a handout. So back in the university those days, the lecturers used to give us some, handouts for a particular course. So if I put your profile together, I think it's more like a handout. I know all these things didn't just happen overnight. You've done well in the academic field. You're also doing the work of God and so many things. There are a lot of people who, when they look at you today, they see success. I know, Dr. Isreal, things just don't happen overnight. You put in so many years of hard work, to get to where you are today. And I ask you, the context in which we're raised usually will determine who we become in the future. In other words, what was your humble beginning like?
I wasn't born with a silver spoon. My parents didn't have much, but they had very much, and I will explain that.
Okay.
In the worldly content, we're going to be talking about, they didn't have much money. My father and my mother were both pastors.
Okay.
And
so I see the connection.
They were both pastors. It was my mom who first went to seminary in 1975. And my dad later went in 1978. And they served with churches that didn't have much to pay them as well. I could recollect one of the stories I don't want to forget was that when I was growing up, my father wanted to pay my SSC fee. That is like a secondary school final examination fee.
Yeah.
He couldn't afford it because his salary then was 120 naira, and my SSC fee was 105 naira. That 120 naira, not 120,000, 120 naira could not feed us. We had to augment. I mean, there were days I will go to farm, I hawk soap, I hawk ice water. I've done washing of cars for people, I mean, all kinds of things. So the money was not enough. It was struggling. There are times you will need to take something on credit.
And which town and state was
that was in Highway Town. I had my secondary school in Highway Town in Oyo State.
Oyo State, okay.
Though I hail from Oyo Town, that is my hometown.
Okay.
Now, to bring out 105 from 120 was like a miracle. So he couldn't afford it. So they were already sending us away from school. Thank God it was free education. So I didn't pay for school fees. The only money I was to pay was for my exam, which the government would not pay. And he couldn't get it done. So we were sent away. But thanks to God, my principal then, who knew me well. And as at that time, I was also senior professor at the school. I'll get to that story later. Even though I didn't have money. And the principal felt that how could he send away the senior prefect? So he allowed me to be in school.
Wow.
And he gave my dad a final day he must pay. If not, I won't take the exam.
Wow.
I could remember my father left the bank. He just obtained his salary with some debts on him. But walked straight to our school to pay my 105 naira. Leaving him with 15 naira for the whole month for all of us. And he will still pay his tithe of 12 naira. He will have 3 naira
left
to feed when the 120 could not feed it.
How many were you?
Those of us who were with my parents then, we were only 4. As at that time, my youngest sister was with my grandmother. And at that time, the last born of the family wasn't born. So we were 6 in number. So we were only 4 at that time.
Relying on 3 naira.
Yeah, 3 naira for a whole month. When the 120 could not all feed us. But one thing I must recollect is that though we didn't have, I said we didn't have much, but they had much. What was their much? They had faith in God. They raised me to know that even though you may not have much, you still have to hold onto your integrity. Ability to stand even when you don't have the resources. Trust God, that's faith. Live right, that is integrity. In other words, you don't go to anything shady.
Exactly.
So I wasn't born with silver spoon, but I had parents who raised me to know God, to love God, and to strive to please God. And that really helped me. And amongst what they also taught me was giving back to God. Realizing that the little you have was given to you by God. And it is in giving that more will come. So those were imbibed in me, and it really helped me. These were principles that I've lived by. Knowing God, knowing myself, and trusting Him to see me through if I can only live by His commands. And over the years, like I said, I've grown with those principles that have helped me. So today when I look at how I was raised, I would say it was from a very humble beginning. But God used that humble beginning to prepare me for whatever He has in store for me in the future. And that's what I can say now. Maybe when we talk more, I will share more of my stories with you.
That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. I know you talked about the school, how your parents prioritize school and everything. It shows that they love education.
Yeah.
And that connects to how far you went, in your education. You have your PhD and everything, which is kind of the peak. So that seed that was sowed then grew to the highest level of anybody can, get to. So what was the transition from your secondary to your university to your PhD journey?
Yeah, I had my primary school in Awe. Actually, it was only my primary 5 and 6 I spent in Awe, because initially there my parents were in Obanikoro, when my mother was in the seminary, and then we moved to Oyo, later to Awe. So I had my secondary school in Awe, and God proved himself. Like I said, I didn't have much money, but in spite of that, God gave me the grace to focus on my study. I believe strongly that every child can be brilliant. I've always held that. I don't believe there's any dull child. I've only seen lazy children. Yeah, it may take you 2 hours to grasp a material, a subject.
And take the
It
next
might
person,
another 10 hours. All you need to do is to know how many hours you need to catch it.
I love that.
So I don't believe that's a dull student. So I look at my scenario, and with the resources I have available, I didn't have privilege of many textbooks, but most of the time my parents only buy the English and maths. The rest I have to copy.
You figure it out.
Figure it out. But amazingly, I was coming top of the class. One of the things I cannot forget was when my parents moved from Oyo to Awe, when I was in Form 5. I'd done the first term and the second, it was in the second term that we moved in. And it was 2 weeks to the exam of the second term that my parents moved. Everybody believed I would fail, because just getting to a new school in the second term, I didn't know what they were taught in the first term, and just 2 weeks to the exam. I spent the first week of my reception at that school copying notes. And most of the teachers were only doing revisions at that time, getting ready for the exams. I copied notes. For the first week, I copied notes. The second week, I was reading the notes. Amazingly, we had the exam. I topped the class.
Wow.
And they couldn't believe it. How can that be? This boy who just came. And by the time I did the third time, I had the best result of all of them. And then they made me the senior prefect. But what I discovered was that maybe my coming late at that time, my copying of the notes, while I was copying the notes, the thing was sticking to my brain.
Yeah.
So when I was reading again, it was like a revision.
What a strategy.
Now, so what would have been to my disadvantage became my advantage.
Interesting.
So then when I went to my secondary school, to St. Jesus Secondary School in Awe, I had the same experience. Right from one thing I can't forget was, at that time, my parents still had, I told you about how I couldn't pay my SSC. I remember I was playing on the field. At that time, because my parents could not even replace my uniform, my knicker, short knicker, was already torn at the back. And I could not even get money to sew it. So what was I doing? When I'm going to school, I tie a sweater, because of my sweater, to my waist
to cover it.
Not to let anybody know that I have an open shirt that I'm wearing to school. So if you look at it, you'll just be seeing my pants. And I was just on the field talking with my friend when they said they wanted to see me at the staff room. I entered, I saw my principal and all the staff. They happened to stand before them. And the rule is that you don't go to staff room tying on. That looks. So I had, before I enter, I had to remove that thing. I walk into the staff room trying to cover. I used one hand to carefully block the opening. And when I got there, my principal said, "Remove that hand." They thought I was doing behaving like a bad boy. They didn't know I was covering something. And then they look at me, ask me a question, and they say, "Okay, They are planning to make me the senior prefect.
Wow.
While I was working out, again, if I walk out without putting my hand there, I carefully put my hand again. I heard him say, "You are putting your hand there again." I quickly behave as him, and I quickly ran out of the staff room. And by Monday, they said I would be the senior prefect.
Wow.
Miraculously, I don't know how God works that. My parents were able to get money, and they bought me another shot. So I didn't serve as a senior prefect with
Turn uniform.
turn uniform. Those are the experiences I had.
I like them.
And I didn't have the luxury. Many of my colleagues had the luxury of their parents giving them opportunity to do what they call GC. If you're familiar with Nigerian system, you can do GC earlier to prepare yourself for SSC. The one who cannot even pay for, who waited till the last minute to pay 105 naira. I didn't have the luxury. So many of my colleagues had from 4 earlier, they did it. I didn't have that opportunity. But the glory of God, when we did our SSC, I still had the best result in my school. I had 7 A's and only 1 credit out of my subjects. The only subject I had credit was English. And I had C4. As at that time, A1, A2, A3, C4. So it was still close to the A, because that was the worst of the one. And when I finished, I knew certainly through the story narrated to me by my parents earlier in my year, when I was 12 years old, but I was born. I have the privilege, I will share this story with you as well in this program. That I'm supposed to serve the Lord. Because there's a story to my birth, which they share with me. But because of the kind of poverty my parents experienced in ministry, I didn't want to go. I told God, I know I'm supposed to serve you, but I want to go and make money. I don't want to go through what my parents went through. So I decided I would go and study accountancy. And I did jump. First time I failed, second time I failed. The third time, I was about taking that exam when I realized that it was because I was running away from God. And I had to negotiate with God and say, God, I know it's because I'm running away. A young man who did SSC and had 7 A's, why we jump first time, second time, and this third time I'm failing? So I had to plead with him and say, God, please give me an admission to go to the INC. Because if I go to seminary, people will say it's because I couldn't pass jam. That's why I'm going to the seminary. And God had my prayer. And I took the next one. And my name was number 3 on those who are given accountancy at the Polytechnic Ibadan for that year. So I went in and I told God, anytime I have the opportunity to study or to go to seminary, I will go. And God made it happen that I applied and I was offered. So I went to the seminary from 1991 to 1995, where I obtained my Bachelor of Theology. And from there, I had my Master's at University of Ibadan from 2009 to 2002. And in 2006, I decided to do my PhD at the same university.
Wow.
It will have been a journey of 4 years. But because of my ministry assignment, I didn't spend the time I'm supposed to spend focusing was like part-time. So I only finished in 2014 when I bagged my doctorate in New Testament in the same university of Ibadan. So that's what I can say about my life academically.
Wow. This is quite inspirational. I love this story. So what do you have to see? There's something happening in our society today where a lot of younger ones, they don't believe in hard work. I've listened to you, you told your story, and today it's a different thing altogether. But you went through, a couple of challenges growing up, but that didn't in any way define who you are today, right?
Yeah.
Instead, the story behind your success is an inspiring story. But today in our society, we don't celebrate hard work, especially in Nigeria. Younger ones, they want to make money quick. Nobody wants to go through the normal process. Nobody wants to, what they see is success and what is happening on social media. They are carried away, the glamour, like you termed it earlier. So it's really troubling, and people who have worked hard, we need them to come and tell their stories so they can inspire younger ones. What do you have to say to these younger ones who are listening to you, telling this story, and maybe going through one thing or the other, and the whole societal issue, so they don't fall into this area? So we begin to take these youths out of this, mentality of get rich quick, messing up. Nobody wants to go through any process. Anybody that is going through anything is seen as a stupid person. They say, oh, you are wasting time, you don't know this. But it's a process, it's a molding time. So what message do you have for this?
I would say that there are two extremes I've seen in our current world. Number one, people feel that because of their low background, they will amount to nothing, that they saw that background as hindrance to making progress in life. And I say to such people, your background does not have to necessarily put your back on the ground. You may have the lowest background, but you can have the highest success in life.
Exactly.
You can make impact.
Yeah.
In fact, in God's own way, most people who make great success in life come from poor background.
Yes.
We can talk about that one and over.
Somebody, without interrupting you, somebody was saying that the children of nobody are the ones buying the property of children of somebody then.
Exactly.
So it's more like a transition.
So that's one, and I want the young ones to know that no matter how poor your background is or how difficult it has been, you can make a headway. You can succeed. You can make impact. You may need to put in more effort than the other person.
Absolutely.
You may have to go the extra mile. Today, to the glory of God, with the way God helped me, there was no way my parents could have seen me through university education with the money they were having. When I went to Ibadan for my accountancy, my parents couldn't even provide that for my first year. Because the point is that the money is not coming. And when I went for my first degree in the seminary, I could recollect that it was only my first year that they were able to take loan. It was 2,000 naira then I was to pay. My mom took a loan of 1,000 naira in a place of work. My daddy took a loan of 1,000 naira. And that money they will pay over a year. In other words, for my second year, they will just finish paying this one and they will still take another one. But miraculously, God made supplies I was able to finish. So if my parents would say they actually sponsored me in school, that was the only first year of my university. So if somebody say, oh, my parents could not afford it, if you are focused, you are ready to face the bull or tackle the bull by its horn, and you're willing to give it what it takes, the sacrifices that it demands, you will still get there.
Absolutely.
God will always provide a way. My second year, I think it was somebody who just like to pick my bills up, my third year like that, until I was able to finish.
Yes.
And I could focus on my studies. So that's one angle. So they should not give up. The other angle, the other extreme, is to assume that you can get a shortcut to success. Let me make it bold to those ones who have that kind of idea that any shortcut to success that you think you have will end up cutting your life short. It will not only, but it will cut you, and such successes are also short-lived. In my language, what you did not labor for will not last long in Yoruba language. That's a saying, that's an adage. So for the young ones who feel, oh, I want to become rich tomorrow, I want to be that tomorrow, there is a process. If you don't follow the process, if at all you get anything, you will end up losing it easily. If you want it to last, pay the price. Pay the price. It takes a course of time. There's always a process. And it's only what goes through a process that is properly processed. If it doesn't go through a process, it is not processed. And when it's not processed, it will cause you harm. It's only a matter of time. So if you want to have a success that will be, that will last long, you got to pay. And what is the process? Is you pay a price. So there's nothing you want to become in life that you cannot become if you are willing to pay the price. And when I mean the price now, somebody will not say, okay, my price is to go and bubble a house. No, that's not the price. You need to be patient. That's part of the price. Sacrifice, that's part of the price. And at times you need to burn candles. I remember those when I was in school, I always tell people, because I know that I just have to grasp my study. There were days that I would need to put, because I don't want to sleep in the night, I'll put a bucket, put water inside, and dip my 2 legs, so that I will not doze off. Well, reading.
Even Nescafe those days.
That's when you can afford Nescafe. Where we get that.
That was luxury, but
that's luxury for me. All I could do is to get a bucket, put my leg inside, and carry my books and read. And so you look at your situation. I always tell people you can make a lemonade out of your lemon. You can become what you desire to become if you are willing to pay the price for it. Don't run after success or shortcut. Just be faithful, be willing to pay the price, and your price will come. So I need to plead for them not to fall into that error, because we've seen so many young ones being wasted.
Honestly.
And it's so painful.
It is.
Because these are people that could do well in life, that could make impact in life, but because they were in a hurry to jump the process, by so doing, their life was destroyed. So whatever price you need to pay, face your study, do what you need to do, burn the extra candle, you will surely get there. And it's about making money. You also make money at the appropriate time.
Exactly.
But if you are focusing more on money, you may not be able to get it. And if you get it, it won't last.
Thank you very much for that. So the other thing I wanted to, I'm inspired, and listening to you, all what you went through and where you are today. When you look back, how do you feel?
I feel grateful that I had parents who helped me to focus on what matters early in life. I need to say that some of the SSWs, some of the youth, some parents are also not left out. There are parents who are hurrying their children to make money.
Yeah.
You can hear parents say, can't you see your colleague? Can't you see what he has achieved? No. They are not. They may not be on the same route. What God has in store may not be the same. So parents should also be careful in terms of comparing their children with others. I also believe their children will also get there. Oh, can't you see the kind of car he brought? No, parents should be careful, because sometimes some children get, haywire when they get to hear those things from their parents, and they begin to do what is wrong just to, in quotes, look also presentable to their parents. So I have parents who never try to force me to do anything. They just wanted me to be myself. They only inspired me. They may not have much, but the little they had was enough to inspire me. Now, for me as a person, so the legacy they gave me helped me to remain focused. And if there was anything I appreciate most is that they led me in the way of God. You know, the fear of God, the Bible says, is the beginning of wisdom. I was taught to fear God, to live for Him at early ages of my life. And that helped me to run away from anything that would be shady, that would be wrong, because I know God is watching me. So that guided my steps. And that helped me to know that if I walk with God and trust Him, He will take me to my desired haven. And that has been my guiding principles over the years.
I love that. So as we begin to wrap up, what's next for Reverend Dr. Isreal?
That's a big question you're asking me. I must confess that
at a very high level.
the Lord has been faithful. There are so many things the Lord has done for me that I could not imagine. I was sharing with my church lately, as I've always done, that I am somebody who believes that, my nature, I rarely cry. I mean, the last time I ever cried when somebody died was when one of my uncles died in 1981. I was very young. But I shed more tears. But this year I've shed it once. And last year I think I shed when I was preaching. But my wife, most of my body now was shedding tears. And what moved me to shed tears is when I look at how I started and how God took me from what I used to be to who I am today.
Yeah.
And I could recollect that has nothing to do with me, but only because of His love for me. And it moved me. So I would say that all these years it has been God who has guided my steps. I could not imagine I would be where I am today. I could not imagine I could achieve what I've achieved. I was just sharing a few minutes ago that, it's about going to countries I'm going to about 60 countries of the world now. I mean, knowing people, these privileges and there. So the next phase of my life, I must confess to you, is in His hands. One scripture that guides me to say, "Eye has not seen, ear has not heard, it has not even entered into the heart of man.
What God has.
What God in store for those who love Him." Now, what people should watch out for in my life in the next phase is not of me. But I can say something. It's going to be thrilling. It's going to be awesome.
Wow.
It's going to be unbelievable.
Wow.
I have that idea. But the exact nitty-gritty is in His hands. He's cooking it. And I can say categorically, in the next 12 months,
Wow.
in the next, let me say 24 months, a new phase, a new level,
Wow.
which God is cooking. But until He cooked it for the world to see, I may not be able, even me myself, I know He's cooking it.
And any meal cooked by God must be delicious.
But even me, I only know He's cooking. He only told me He's cooking. So I'm waiting for the meal to be served. So I would just say that people should wait and see the meal being served.
Wow, I like that.
That's what I can say. And I'm believing Him for that.
I like that. Just before we get to the closing parts, this just came to my mind. I want to throw it. You look very, it's like every year young and you're looking very refreshing. And what's the secret?
The secret is God. When you work with God, they call Him ageless. And He also has a way of rubbing on you. But, be that as it may, I would say that keeping fit, although I know I'm not doing to the best I'm supposed to, I've got to know that if you want to look young, look better, there are laws to be obeyed. I mean, there are things, naturally, God who created us give us some natural laws that you abide with.
Absolutely.
So if you are flouting those laws, I'm very busy. But people ask me, how do you rest? In Nigeria, I know one of my people, my ear was a pastor, I can't see you resting. But I laugh because I know I rest. I know I rest. Yeah, I have a very long schedule, but any moment I'm having the opportunity to just create a little time for myself, I don't waste it because I don't know when I will get the next. And I also take time for recreation because if you don't relax your mind, the greatest rest we need is not just the rest of the body, the mind. If your mind is not resting, your body will just not be at peace. So I try to rest my mind, and I do that. At times, I do sports. I play games. I watch movies, largely Christian movies. I'm not anti other movies, but I know in Christian movies, my eye will not be seeing what I was not looking for. I can be sure of what I will see and the kind of inspiration I will get. So then I watch news. I love to know more about my world. And I'm trusting God that He will take me to more places where I can preach the gospel and reach the world of the Lord. But that's the reason why I'm born.
Excellent. So in the Chronicles of a Professional, we have some personal questions that we usually ask our guests. Are you ready for that?
You can go ahead and give it to me, and let's see what answer I will give.
Yeah, so the first question is, what is your favorite Nigerian food?
My favorite Nigerian food, I don't know whether it's Nigerian, but that's just my favorite food, and that's rice and beans.
Wow.
I've loved rice and beans right from my youthful age, and it's still my best meal when I'm in Nigeria. But now I travel, my best meal is Chinese.
Oh,
if I travel out, anywhere I get it, I just take. I love the Chinese and the food.
Interesting.
Because it's not too. When I eat, within a few hours, when the food eat, that is still remain digest.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, who is your role model?
That's a very big question. I would say that my role model is Jesus Christ. I'm an embodiment of many things I took from some other people, but no particular human being will I say this is my role model. As a minister of the gospel, I would say that Benny Hinn, those who influenced me in ministry are Benny Hinn, John Austin, not Joel, that is Joel's father.
Okay.
Joel's father, John Austin. Okay. Then John Helbray and Kenneth Hagin. Yonggi Cho also had an influence on me. Yonggi Cho of South Korea. These are the people whose ministry helped me in early years of my ministry, and they inspired me. So I would say I have these I took from this, this I took from this, and not, but not one person standing.
Absolutely.
But Christ is my model, and He's the one I try to emulate in all that I do.
Excellent. So, where besides Nigeria, where would you like to go for leisure?
I go to Israel at least 2 or 3 times every year, taking one pilgrimage. It's part of the ministry God has given me. I love to be in Israel. In fact, it's like my second home. My members know that. But if I have to go just to rest, when I go to Israel, I don't go to rest. I take people there on pilgrimage, on revival, and some other things. But I would say I go to US and relax.
Okay. States.
Come back. States.
Okay, good to know. So if Reverend Dr. Isreal is not doing God's work, is not doing some academic thing, what do you do as your spare time?
Like I said, I watch TV.
Okay.
And I watch Christian films, like I said. I listen to news and I play games when I have the time.
Yeah. Excellent. So, and the final question is, if you have all the powers in the world to change just one thing on earth, what would that one thing be?
I would want everybody to come to the knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Because that's the reason why I was born. That's the reason I was sent into the world. That is my greatest goal. Because what's my aspiration? I don't have any aspiration to be this or that. My aspiration is to make him known. Because I know when everybody knows him, and I know in the real sense of it, not all these fake Christians we see around, the world will be better. Because the world where Christ truly reigns in the lives of people will be a peaceful world, will be a prosperous world, will be a world of excellence. In fact, it will be heaven on earth.
On this note, I want to thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And as God is cooking the meal, I'm sure in the nearest future we'll connect again to discuss more.
I think when the meal is being served,
We'll connect again.
we'll surely be there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
It's a delight. Thank you so much for coming.